Well, here we are again. This is Alan Bonner, and I'm going to talk through business paper 9609/22. So this paper is quite a long paper, and it's all about two business case studies, gourmet ices and clean and tidy. So let's just talk through exactly what the paper is telling us. And it's very important that we always look at the key points in the text. So GI, Gourmet Ices, is a partnership owned by Tom and Amy, and the business makes and sells high quality ice cream. Very important to remember these key points. Two key points out of those first two sentences: partnership, which has all sorts of connotations in terms of the business, and it makes and sells high quality ice cream. At the present, the ice cream is only sold through businesses near to GI, but its owners would like to expand the business and sell ice cream throughout the country. That's a big statement, and I think it's important to highlight if we can. I'll try and do it, which I'm not able to do. Let's have another go. Nope, that's not working either. So, key points from there: partnership, business makes and sells high quality ice cream. It's only sold through businesses near to the GI, but it has an aspiration to sell ice cream throughout the country. Well, the first question I would put in my mind there is, wow, they're only selling locally, but they want to sell throughout the country. Second paragraph: the ice cream is handmade in small batches. GI employs 5 skilled workers who make the ice cream, and labour costs account for over half of the direct costs of the business. Tom believes that computer-aided manufacturing is needed to increase the production and decrease costs so that gourmet ices can sell throughout the country. However, Amy is a bit worried about this, as she can see that the quality of the ice cream could decrease. Take time to read and understand the data. Always, but always try to draw out the key points. So let's recap. Partnership is a key word. Selling high quality ice cream, key point. High aspirations, local business wanting to sell throughout the country. It's handmade in small batches, very important. It only employs 5 skilled workers, but they are expensive and they account for over half of the direct costs. There is clearly one part of the partnership looking to decrease costs and use technology to help them do that, whereas the other half of the partnership is concerned with the quality. So we have estimated production costs and revenue data, variable cost per unit, total cost per month, and with and without computer-aided manufacturing, and revenue per unit. So we can see just from that one table the huge amount of fixed costs each month. That's one thing that drags out straight away from $5,000 without it, as they are operating at the moment, to $15,000. That's a huge increase. However, the estimated output each month is 7,500 units compared to 25,000 units. Again, a huge increase. Tom and Amy would need to raise $50,000 of additional finance to expand GI. They've researched crowdfunding and venture capital as possible sources of finance. Again, what are we saying here? They're looking for money to expand. It doesn't say they're looking for money to invest in the CAM. They're just looking for additional finance to expand. They've decided that they want to go the route of venture capital, and they're also considering two offers. Offer one from Amit, who's offering £50,000, would want 51,000 ownership of the business. That's quite scary. Amit owns a nationwide supermarket chain and would be willing to stock the ice cream in all of the supermarkets if his offer is accepted. And he's also got a lot of marketing experience. Offer two from Rebecca. She's also offering $50,000, but she would only want 30% ownership of the business. Now, Rebecca owns a clothes manufacturing factory, but has knowledge of CAM. She's very experienced with operations and project management, and she believes she can further reduce the cost of the business and increase the profit margin. So there we have this little business, a little case study. It's got some really key points in all of that, and it's telling us a lot about this business. Partnership, handmade ice cream, locally, aspires to be countrywide, looking for money to expand, can expand their production through use of CAM, but it's costly. They're going to venture capitalists. Had one offer from Amit, who wants 51% ownership, and the other one, Rebecca, that wants 30% ownership. Big difference there. One has huge outlets across the nation where the ice cream could be stocked. The other one has huge operational project management experience and CAM experience. So quite two different offers on the table. So let's go straight to the questions. So the first one is define the term partnership. It's really important that, again, repeating myself from previous broadcasts, that when a definition is asked for, that's all that is given, is a definition. So the definition of partnership is a business formed by two or more people with shared responsibilities and shared capital investment. There is unlimited liability and no continuity. Often partnerships will have a partnership agreement to separate out investment and responsibilities. The important thing here is the definition. The definition is a business formed by two or more people with shared responsibility and shared capital investment. That is all that's being asked for. Question 2. Briefly explain the term crowdfunding. Crowdfunding predominantly needs some detail in terms of its explanation. So remember to read the question as well as the text. Briefly explain the term crowdfunding. Very simply, crowdfunding is raising small amounts of money from a lot of people. Basically, a big crowd all giving a little bit each, the sum of a little. Try to use case studies, try to use examples of crowdfunding rather than case studies. I think that's quite important here. It's typically made up of the businesses looking for funding that hasn't been able to find funding elsewhere, and it's normally carried out over the internet. Question B. Refer to table 1 and calculate the break-even level of production with or without CAM. It's quite a simple calculation. The contribution, if we go back to the chart, we have the full cost and the contribution of £2.50. With CAM, the revenue per unit is £2.50, minus the cost is £1.50. So £1.50 divided into 15,000 gives us an answer of 10,000. So the break-even point is £10,000, or $10,000 in this case. So you're taking the variable cost away from your revenue, dividing it into your fixed cost each month. Quite a straightforward calculation. Second part of that question, explain one benefit of using Gourmet Ices of using break-even analysis. So again, you really want to refer your answer, put it in context to the case study. So why would you want to understand what your break-even point is? Well, it's really quite straightforward. It would help you make decisions over how many you're going to make or stroke sell. It allows you to plan your production. Importantly, most importantly, it helps you monitor costs. You've got to recognise again that the answer is looking for you to refer to Gourmet Ices. So the break-even point when we look at Gourmet Ices, it's obviously a lot higher with CAM than it is without it. That's obviously due to the amount of machinery that is going to be used in CAM. So again, quite straightforward in terms of explaining one benefit of using break-even analysis. So when am I going to break even? What do I need to sell in order to break even on this new venture of CAM? And then C moves into, well, what's the two possible disadvantages of introducing CAM to produce ice cream? Well, again, go back to the text, go back to the key points. One of the key points very early on from Amy was the level of quality. And the level of quality is produced because it's handmade. The level of quality is produced because it's handmade and in small batches. All these points are relevant in terms of moving from very much a crafted product into an assembly line produced product, which is what CAM would actually deliver. So a couple of disadvantages would be loss of quality, or certainly the loss of perceived quality. Also, the loss of skills. You've got 5 skilled workers at the moment, small batches. All of a sudden, you're going to lose that skill. And it's probably correct in assuming that this business has been based on its quality and its skill of producing ice cream. Of course, as soon as you introduce machines, they break down. People don't break down, not in the same way at least. Therefore, that could also be a disadvantage of introducing CAM. Also, by the looks of the costing in Table 1, it's a very expensive exercise compared to what they have at the moment. So quite a few easily identifiable disadvantages. It's very important when answering that question to read and understand the consequences of CAM and to analyse those consequences. There's no need necessarily to answer it with a conclusion. You just need to analyse it and identify the consequences. Moving on to the next question, which is D. Recommend which one of the two venture capital offers that Tom and Amy should accept, and then justify your answer. So just to recap, offer 1 is all about 51%. So straight away, Tom and Amy would lose control. They would no longer have control of their business. Amit would. And Amit, however, because he's got control and he's also agreed that he will sell the ice cream nationwide through his supermarket chain. Now that meets one of the aspirations. If we go back to the very first paragraph, it meets the aspirations of the owners to expand the business and sell it throughout the country. They're very local at the moment, just to remind ourselves. So giving up ownership actually meets one of the aspirations. And they're able to market their product. Amit will provide considerable amounts of knowledge to marketing and how to make sure that the product is sold across the country for the right price. They also would have a good supply chain. If Amit's got a nationwide load of supermarkets, he's got a good supply chain. So Tom and Amy haven't got to worry about how they're going to get the product out to the locations. Let's look at offer 2. Offer 2, if we remember, it's a lower level of equity they're giving away. It's only 30%, so they still own their business. And this individual, Rebecca, has considerable experience with CAM, and she knows that using CAM reduces costs in the business and increases profit margin. Rebecca also has skill in terms of project management. Again, some fors and against in both offers. Rebecca is looking at reducing the cost and still allowing Tom and Amy to be owners, whereas Amit's looking to expand the business. So to answer the question, recommend which of the two venture capital offers they should accept is down for you to decide, of course, but you do need to justify your answer. Again, I would point out and go back to making sure that you read the text in detail and try to understand the essence of this business. And again, in the very first paragraph, it talks about them wanting to expand the business and sell throughout the country. That may well be a higher priority to them than giving up ownership. It may be that in offer 2, whilst they would be able to reduce their costs, and they would have somebody that helped them project manage their business, they've still got to find a way of getting it out to the market and have their locations where they're going to sell their ice cream. Whereas Amit offers that as a guarantee. So the question really is for Tom and Amy to decide, are they happy to give up complete ownership of their business in order to see their product and see their aspiration achieved by being nationwide? Let's move on to question 2, and we're now moving on to the business of clean and tidy. Again, read and be sure that you read in detail and draw out the key points from the text. Clean and tidy is an employee-owned business. Employee-owned business is a key point. It specialises. It's not just a cleaning company. It specialises in cleaning homes. So employee-owned business, and it's got a specialism. The homes are cleaned during the day while the homeowners are at work. Working during the day, specialising in cleaning homes, employee-owned. There are 9 employees, each of whom owns an equal share. And Clean and Tidy, they clean about 50 to 60 homes a week. And a lot of their customers are loyal and have been with them for a long time. However, there has been no sales growth for the past 12 months, and they're reducing their profit margin, or their profit margin is decreasing. So they've tried to increase their revenue by lowering their price of the service. Let's have a look at table 2. Price per hour, £8, down to £6. Weekly sales, number of homes cleaned, 50, when it goes down to £6.55. CT promotes its clean services using above-the-line promotion. Do we know what above the line is? That's no doubt a question later on. New customers contact the business through its website or by telephone. Okay, so we know how customers are gained. In recent meeting, all owner employees, someone suggested the business move into the industrial market for cleaning. That's interesting. This would include cleaning offices and factories during the night. So the marketing mix for Clean and Tidy would need to be changed significantly to attract customers in the industrial market. So again, once you've read the text and you've got a sense of the business, read it again and identify the key points. Moving to the answers, or the questions, I should say. A1, define the term profit margin. Again, we're being asked to define the term. We're asking for anything other than a definition. So profit margin is the measure of profitability of a business. It's not a measure of profit, it's the measure of profitability. Calculated by finding the profit for the year as a percentage of revenue. Straightforward definition is required. Now, as I suspected, the question is briefly explain the term above the line promotion. Well, there's above the line and below the line. Below the line, which is easier to explain perhaps, is a direct one-to-one with existing customers, selling to existing customers, not publicly promoting it. Above the line is where you promote your product to all and sundry, whereas below the line is very much focused and detailed and not necessarily public. Simple as that. Above the line, you'd use social media, no doubt, and you would like to target your customers, and you would use television and radio if you could afford to, as well as printed material. So it's a wider spread of audience that you're hitting with above the line, and it's not necessarily specific to individual consumers. That's the difference. B1, refer to table 2 and calculate the price elasticity of demand for a change in price from $8 to $6 per hour. We've covered this off before in terms of price elasticity, but it's basically a number that identifies whether or not reducing the impact of reducing your price has on demand. So in this case, percentage, the formula would be the percentage of change in quantity divided by the percentage change in price. So if we look at the percentage change in quantity, it's gone from 55 to 50, so it's increased by 5. And when we look at the price under the line, we're talking about price change of 25%. We've gone from £8 or $8 down to $6, which is a 25% change. So we divide the 10% by the 25%, which gives us a minus 0.4. Very often a mistake is made here with getting the formula wrong and dividing the quantity change into the price change. It's actually the other way around. So the answer there is 0.4. And the next question is explaining one way in which CT could make use of price data of demand calculations. Well, straight away from doing that example, doing that calculation, where the answer has come out minus 0.4, we know that it's not, the price isn't elastic, it's inelastic. So quite clearly, reducing your price by 25% is only giving you a 10% increase is not a good move. So Clean and Tidy should not actually reduce their price based on the elasticity formula. And that's one way in which they could make use of that calculation. It's also, again, important to go back and read the text and understand clearly what this business is about. And if you go back, you can see that they've got a very loyal customer base, yeah? And they clean 50 to 60 homes a week. They specialize in cleaning homes. And the homes are cleaned, the homes that they clean, the homeowners are at work. So you can deduce from that that the people they work for, the houses that they clean, are lived in by people that have got sufficient money to employ a cleaner. Therefore, price is probably not that important to them. It's more important to them to have a clean house done by somebody else rather than cleaning it themselves. So price is probably not a big factor in the business. So they could probably charge a little bit more rather than reducing their price. Let's move to C. Analyse one advantage and one disadvantage of Clean and Tidy of being an employee-owned business. Really quite important to emphasise the point that this is an employee-owned business. So you've got to analyse and identify one advantage and one disadvantage. And it's important that, again, you read the question. The question is too clean and tidy. Analyse one advantages and one disadvantage, too clean and tidy. We're not talking about generically here, we're talking about the case study. So when you answer it, answer the question in the context of clean and tidy. So use context in the answer. Well, the obvious ones are equal ownership. Each own has different personal contacts. Cleaning homes, each owner may have different business contacts that they're able to expand. So there's lots of things there that you need to include in your contextual side of the answer. If they're all equal, then they're going to work together and identify solutions to their problems together. They clearly have economies of scale because they're all of one, they are equal, and they're able to cover for each other. And I guess the motivation of these employees is quite high. Again, they're all owners, so they all share in the benefits. Problem with that utopia situation is who arbitrates and disagreements, who has control over the operation. Do they have a manager? Do they have a leader? I suspect they do, but it's not implicit in the text. They could quite easily, there's only 9 of them, they're not a big business. They could find it very hard to raise capital purely because they're all equal, therefore each individual would be scrutinised by an investor. So there's quite a lot of stuff there. The important thing I want to emphasise is that you need to put your answer in context with clean and tidy, and remember and emphasise the point about employee owned. And D, that's how clean and tidy's marketing mix may change to target customers in the industrial market. Well, this is an interesting question. They're moving from specialising, remember that word, specialising in cleaning homes for the reasonably affluent people during the day when everything's hunky-dory. For the employee owners, they want to move into an industrial market, which is completely different, cleaning shops and factories, etc. During the night. So what would they need to do? Well, they would need to certainly consider how they take their product into the marketplace. Therefore, it's the 4 Ps of the marketing strategy: their product, their price, their place, and their promotion. And that would be the important thing to remember. How they manage that without extraordinary above the line advertising, they may well need to use below the line promotion where one of the employees has got contacts with the industrial market. Can they get in through knowing somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, rather than broadly advertising their business? They may have to actually employ somebody to do nothing but sales, which is a real change for the business. It's unlikely, of course, given that they're domestic house cleaners that specialise in cleaning homes, that the industrial market will come to them. So it's very much about pushing their product to the marketplace. There's 3 other things that could be added to the product, place, price and promotion. Is physical evidence, making sure that they have the facilities to actually manage and clean factories as opposed to homes. Have they got the kit to do that? People, have they got sufficient people? Because cleaning the house is perhaps one person's job, but it's probably more difficult for one person to clean a factory. So they're probably likely to need to expand their workforce. And the process of cleaning would be different. They would need to perhaps be trained in hazard substances and different types of safety cleaning. So there's an awful lot to throw into the mix there, but their marketing mix will need to change if they need to target their new industrial customers. And that's one for you to think through. But remember to read the question. Discuss how Clean and Tidy's marketing mix might need to change. So remember the 4 Ps. They've got the product. They need to understand the product, their price, their place, and their promotion. Thank you very much. Any questions from these broadcasts, please put it on Slack and I'll endeavour to come back and answer it as soon as possible. Thank you.